Hello and welcome to Ingles Table. I'm Scott Culpepper and today I'm going to show you how to make my really tasty recipe. This is my braised short ribs. These are really good, not hard to make and not hard to shop for thanks to my local Ingles. Let's get started. So the first thing I have here going is the braised short ribs, which you can make this recipe bone in or bone out. I prefer the bone in because it does enhance the flavor. The short ribs come in various sizes. You can ask your butcher at the local Ingles to cut them for you, but most of the time they're right in the meat case. Very easily find and choose your size that you'd like. Sprinkle them with a little bit of salt and pepper, and then we're going to sear them. So I've already got some going just for the sake of time, but we're gonna braise them for 3 minutes on each side. You wanna get a nice caramelization on the ribs, which you can see here. So the back part is the bone. If that muscle right there starts to split, don't worry about it. These are gonna fall apart as we cook them. So the secret about this recipe is low and slow. While you're doing this, get your oven set to 275 and then be prepared. So first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna just, the residual oil that's in here, I'm gonna add just a little bit more so that we can get these vegetables sauteed. I'm gonna add 2 sweet potatoes that I've peeled, slit in half, and then cut about 1/4-inch portions. I have some celery that are split. You can cut them thicker if you want, just like whatever you choose to cut size-wise for your soups. And then I have a couple of large shallots. So I'm gonna turn the heat up here a little bit more. We're gonna get these sauteing. We're gonna do this for about 5 minutes just to get the oil coated on them and starting to cook. We wanna get them nice and glazed. So we're gonna do this, we're gonna keep an eye on it for about 5 minutes and then we'll pick up there in just a moment. Our onions and celery, our sweet potatoes, been cooking for about 5 minutes. Onions are starting to turn translucent. So now what we're gonna do is add some fresh garlic, rough chopped garlic. You could use the garlic in the jar. You can use as much as you want. I usually do about 5 or 6 cloves of garlic. We're just gonna stir that in so that we can get it, just so the garlic becomes fragrant, which won't take but just a minute or two. So I have this on pretty high heat, so it's happening pretty fast. So to that, I'm gonna add some dried rosemary, thyme, oregano, and a couple of bay leaves. Just add all of that in at once. So we're gonna stir everything together so that we get all the herbs coated on most of the vegetables as we can. All right. I can smell the garlic already too. So to that, I'm gonna add 2 cups of red wine. I have Cabernet Sauvignon here. You could use Zinfandel if you like, just something that's big and deep. It's gonna sizzle, and what we're gonna do is we're just gonna deglaze the pan to get those drippings from the short ribs loose. Incorporate the flavors. Start this, it's gonna warm up really fast. So once we have the Cabernet in there, it's already boiling. If it's not boiling right away for you, just wait till it comes up to temperature, let it simmer a little bit. And then to that, we're gonna add a 32-ounce box of beef broth. Here's a little trick of the trade. So if you just see how fast that comes out, you don't have to wait for it to catch up with the bubbles. So we'll add that. We're gonna give all of that a quick stir. That's gonna bring down the temperature, so we're gonna let that come back up to a slow simmer. That won't take very long, everything's pretty hot in here. It's already smelling good. And then let's talk about the ribs for a little bit. I'm gonna put the ribs back in here once it starts simmering. We're gonna cover it, we're gonna put it in our oven at 275. We're gonna cook them for 4 hours. But the first 2 hours, we're gonna take everything out. We're just gonna gently stir everything, mix it up, put the lid back in, cook it for another 2 hours. So this is really easy dish to prepare. And a lot of people love short ribs, they think it's intense. These I bought the bone-in ones, like I said before, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place these in with the bone down, because I want for the first 2 hours the bone to cook and get the flavors into all of this broth. And you'll see as you cook these, the meat's gonna slowly start to fall apart. But here's something else I like to do too. This recipe is great for ossobuco. You can use the same ingredients, the same process. You're just gonna use pork shank, you can use a veal shank, but it works just the same. So I have my short ribs back in there. I'm gonna cover them and I'm gonna set it in the oven at 275 for the first 2 hours. All right, everyone, welcome back. Our ribs are done. I had a dish prepared ahead of time so we could show you what they look like once they're finished cooking. They're nice, they're falling apart. And what I like to do to serve these is I bought some mashed potatoes that are already made from Ingles, which they're quite tasty, they're very creamy. I like to serve these over the mashed potatoes. They're also good over just vegetables, also rice, pasta, whatever. But as you can see, this rib right here, so you can see how this bone is just falling off of the meat, which is a good sign of how tender they are. You can probably just pull these apart with your finger. I wouldn't recommend it because it's hot. But in addition to those, we're gonna take some of these cooked vegetables, the sweet potatoes and the celery, and we're just gonna kind of serve that right here along the side. You wanna get all this yummy deliciousness. After all, it did cook right there with the beef. I'm gonna garnish it with just a little bit of fresh thyme and rosemary, since those flavors are already in there. And then we have our beef short ribs. But one other thing I want to mention with, if you don't like all of this cooked vegetables, I also like to use an immersion blender to just puree everything together, because then you end up with this thick gravy, which also works for this. So, but there's the slow roasted braised beef short ribs. Thanks for cooking along with me as we prepare my braised beef short ribs. I love this recipe and I hope you will too. Don't forget to check out the rest of our website where you can find hundreds more delicious recipes and videos, and I'll see you there.